Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to another episode of the Divergent Stars podcast, third season. How my loyal listeners, thank you for your continued support. This is a very special episode because Robert Wuhl boards the mothership to discuss Bull Durham and more. Now, come on board as we go traversing the stars. Hi, Mr. Wuhl. Thank you so much for the Divergent Stars podcast. Big fan of yours.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's totally my honor, sir. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. So I always start off with a question of inspiration. What inspired your love for acting and who your earliest influences?
Oh boy. Early, a good question. I just enjoyed watching movies and entertainment. My earliest influences, that's good. Well, very early. I mean, depending on early. Who are my influences in acting? I mean, all the people I saw growing up, everybody from Spencer Tracy to all those kids, Cary Grant and William Holden and all those great actors, that I saw, watching, Paul Muni, Paul Schofield, they're all great. And then with comedy, it was a little bit different. When I was very young was Jerry Lewis. Then you grow up and you develop taste. And then Woody Allen became a different type of influence. And Peter Sellers. So as far as comedy, and then W.C. Fields, from the women's side, Carol Lombard, Myrna Loy, William Powell, John Wayne. I don't know if John Wayne was an acting influence. I just love John Wayne. De Niro later, but that's later.
So when you think about yourself from a standpoint of an actor, do you view yourself as a comedic actor or all-around actor?
Acting is acting. Acting is acting. It's all drama. You have the two masks under drama. You have the mask of comedy and you have the mask of tragedy. So the acting is acting. Some people don't understand humor. I really think one of the most misused phrases is everybody thinks they have a sense of humor. They don't. The people don't have a sense of humor. They have an appreciation of humor, hopefully, but a lot of people, especially, I'm telling you, a sense of humor in the sense that you can touch it, feel it, taste it, hear it, smell it. No, not everybody has that. And especially, especially millennials. Especially, they have a great sense of purpose. They have a great sense of a bigger picture. They have a great sense of compassion. They do not have a great sense of humor. Somebody's making a joke. They're being funny. They're not trying to hurt anybody. And the oversensitivity, that's your problem.
Now, is comedy something that can be taught, or is it something that is innate? You have it from nurture, or you don't?
That's another great question. I think it's both. I think it's a bit of both. There are some people who are just not funny. That's okay. And you can use them in a way, if they're not funny, where they actually come across as funny. But I don't know and there's a lot of comics I knew who were not funny off stage at all. And they were good comedians. Or stand-up comics. So it's a little bit of both. I think more than the comedy, you better have a sense of music. You better have a sense of rhythm. I think that's more important than actually. It's as important. If you have a sense of music, of rhythm, if you hear it's like Neil Simon once was talking about a director or an actor, I forgot who it was, and he says he just doesn't hear the music. And I know exactly what he's talking about.
Now, we're thinking about, once again, comedy. The thing with comedy is that I feel like more than almost anything else is reliant on the other actor as well to receive the humor and react to it.
But you don't have control of that.
Okay. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, if you look, if the other actor makes you better, that's great. And if the other actor is funny and you're in sync, that's great. But that doesn't always happen. That doesn't always happen. It's better when it does, obviously. And I've known people who wouldn't know a joke if it would hit him in the face. And they've been good in some comic roles, believe it or not.
Hmm. Now, you also co-starred one of my favorite movies of all time, Bull Durham, because I'm a huge baseball nerd. So Bull Durham is fantastic. So, how do you get involved in the film? And I know you're also a major baseball fan. So, what was it like to be in Bull Durham?
Well, first of all, if you are a major Bull Durham fan, I sure hope you have read Ron Shelton's book,
I
The
have,
The
but I
Truth
have
of
not.
Baseball. It is arguably one of the two or three best books about filmmaking, about baseball, because it's about him, because he was a baseball player,
Hmm.
and he talks about growing up and playing baseball and then segueing into a movie career, and then he breaks down the whole Bull Durham from its inception and trying to get it made, and while it was getting made, and then the release and everything else. It's a great book. Ron's a great storyteller. So I auditioned for Bull Durham, and my audition, Ron talks about it in the book, was the single worst audition he ever heard in his life. And he went to the casting director and said, "That was awful. Hire him immediately." And he talks about why. Because he knew I knew baseball. He knew that I would give him a quality that I was doing, because I was all over the place in the audition. I was ad libbing because the character did not have many lines in the script. I don't think he has a half a dozen lines in the script. So I was just improvising and just going ad libbing, and I was all over the place. But he knew he could use that somewhere. If he got in trouble, he could cut to me and use that. So, and then I became very good friends with Ron. We've done, 3 movies together, and I think it's 3. Well, with Blue Chips, he wrote. But anyway, but that's how it happened. And that's really how it happened.
Now,
Great.
the one interesting thing about Bull Durham and the character of Lowry, every person in Bull Durham is trying to be somewhere other than where they are for the most part, or at least on the team. They're all trying to go to the show or trying to have their careers. When you thought about Larry, do you think Larry was content where he was, or do you think he was also thinking, I want to be a coach elsewhere as well?
No, I totally am of the opinion and that in order to, and this was brought to me by Bruno Kirby, my acting guru, who when I asked him about this, it was all about the manager, the skipper. That in order for Larry to advance, the manager had to advance because the manager always takes the pitching coach with. So that's why he is a yes man to the guy, and also he wants the manager to move up.
Hmm.
That's the way it works.
I think one of the great reaction scenes that you had was that scene where Kevin Costner as Crash Davis comes in. He's like, I'm quitting and this is done. He walks out, and that's just that look of just, they're not shocked or not even worried. They're just sitting there quiet, like, he'll be back in a few minutes. Then he walks back in. That is such a wonderful reaction shot. Like, what were you thinking, and how did that, like, was it in the script, they're indifferent or they don't react, or was that a decision that you made in that moment?
Your first question about acting with somebody else. I was fortunate that Trey Wilson was playing the skipper, and God bless him, may rest in peace. He was such a great, and we had the same acting teacher down in Houston at different times. So, and we were a comedy. We hung out together, so we were as Ron said, they were my comedy team. Whenever I got in trouble, I could cut to them, and we would break up lines. I didn't have a lollygagger line. We just played up. That was him. He and I going back and forth. We just did that. No, that was just me and Trey. That was just the two of us.
So I was saying, as a big baseball fan yourself,
Mhm.
when you're thinking about playing Lowry, did you look into other pitching coaches? Did you hang around any minor league teams, or was it just
I
instant?
did hang around minor league teams. I spoke with Renee Latchman, who at that point was the pitching coach of the Los Angeles Angels. And the first thing I asked him was, how much money do these guys make? And, in a minor leagues, I mean, because that's important to me when I think about a character. What's the socioeconomic position?
Hmm.
And like those guys make $10,000 a year. So they had to work other jobs. They knew, and you had to love the game. Otherwise, why would you be doing this for that kind of
Hmm.
money? So as far as that goes, I also patterned the walkout with my ass sticking out after a couple of pitching coaches. I watched them roll out, but but not minor league guys so much.
Hmm.
No, not minor league, but that's Renee Latchman gave me a few ideas.
So when you said your interest in social and economic status and what the Lowry was making, how did that inform how you're going to approach him, knowing that information?
He's not wearing an expensive watch. I mean, it's like you got to know what you can afford, how you can, you know, you're not making any money. I mean, you really are thinking of, I mean, nobody ever asked me if Larry married. I never even thought about it. I don't think he was because I never thought about it. Again, you have to keep that in mind, that, it's not making, because if you're making money, then everything changes.
Mm.
Everything, your whole outlook on everything changes if you're making a lot of money. So if you're not, this is your life. These are lifers for the most part.
So, obviously, one of the stars of the film is Kevin Costner. What was he like to work with on the set?
He was great. He was great. I mean, he was starting to become a mega movie star. He had done The Untouchables and No Way Out was out, and and he could play. And he was a terrific guy. We hung out quite a bit at that point. Then he put me in The Bodyguard as a favor. So no, Kevin's the real deal. Kevin's the real deal.
I think the great thing about the film is that the team seemed like they were so tight, and obviously acting is acting, but was there like kind of relationship on set between all the actors on the team?
Well, we were also, with the exception of Kevin and Tim, we were all staying in the same hotel. So, and it wasn't a luxurious hotel. It was your basic, whatever it was in Durham. So, most of us hung out together a lot of times. So you did have, and you had to come in early. The ball club the players had to come in early because Ron wanted to put him through boot camp. And in fact, he replaced the actor who was playing the first baseman because he didn't think he could play well enough. Yes, so I mean, yeah, and everybody had such a great time, and we knew we were doing a really good piece of material. Now, no one ever thought the success factor because there hadn't been a successful baseball movie, and I don't know what the last one before that was.
Hmm.
So, but no one had an idea this was going to be successful. We knew we were doing good work. I mean, everybody was having a good time.
I mean, there's some definite, obviously, classic baseball movies. Field of Dreams was a classic. Bull Durham is obviously a classic. The Natural. What is it about Bull Durham, do you think, that has stood the test of time? Because now we're going back almost, was 40 years, almost, just about right now. Pretty close. Um, I think so. Yeah, it's the mid 80s. Yeah, I'm 44.
Yeah,
So
I think it's 87.
87. All right, so
Yeah.
we're closing in on 40 then, about 35 or so.
Yeah.
Um, the math not being my best feature, but it's in the ballpark. Um, do you think, like, what do you think it lasts the test of time? Do you think all aspects of it to survive well in the 21st in 2024?
Yeah, because it's minor leagues. It's not okay. All three of those movies that you mentioned, well, not as much The Natural. The Why they succeed is, and why Ron Sheldon and I've had this discussion many, many times. Why most sports movies suck, or they fail as far as a movie, as far as compelling, and it's usually the big game theory that they come down to the big game. It's always the big game. And he goes, "There's no such thing as a big. There's once or twice you can play a big game, but it's think about baseball. It's daily. It's routine. It is routine. You've been playing this game every day. Most of these guys since the age of 6." So it's routine. It's not like football where it's one game a week. Baseball is a different animal. So there's no big game in Bull Durham. There's no big game in Field of Dreams.
Mm.
There is sort of a big game at The Natural, but I'm not as big a Natural fan as everybody is. Not because it's not well done. It's a terrific piece of filmmaking. My problem with The Naturals is story points. One is this is a young guy who is going. I forgot. Redford's a young kid, and he's going and somewhere. He's single,
Yeah.
and he picks up this girl, or the girl picks up him. They have sex. She shoots him. She jumps out of the window. Why is he hiding for 20 years? He didn't do anything.
Mm.
And it's always bothered me. What did he do? He didn't do anything. He's a
Good
single
question.
guy. She jumped out of the window. So what? So what? That's not the other thing about The Natural that takes it to a movie rather than the original piece of work is the ending.
Mm.
The ending in the book. Baseball is a sport that's built around failure.
Yep.
It's built around failure. If you're hit 300, you're failing 70% of the time. You're built around the three most important pieces of literature ever written about baseball all end with failure. And that would be The Natural, because he strikes out at the end of The Natural in the book. Because now you gotta remember, they've made changes, and it's a movie. He does throw games for money in the book. He is going with the gamblers. He does throw games for money. He's a kind of a shit. But then when he wants to come back at the end, he says, okay, this one, he meets the young guy who comes in, and he strikes out. And the moral of it was talent without character is not enough. So the three probably best pieces most famous pieces of fiction: The Natural, Casey and the Bat. Casey strikes out.
Yep.
And Take Me Out to the Ball Game. It's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out.
Oh, yes.
So they're all failure. And Bull Durham doesn't have a big game, and basically he fails. He doesn't get back to the major leagues or anything, but it's not important. It's not important. The same thing with one of the better pieces of baseball is Bang the Drum Slowly. And that's not about a big game or anything. The guy dies at the end. No, the better, in fact, when I think of my favorite baseball movies or pieces, I'm trying to think if any of them win. The original Bad News Bears, they lose.
I was gonna say one of my favorite recent movies is Moneyball.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I think we do know they lose historically, but I just like the one of the favorite lines ever I think in a sport movie is when he talks about it's hard not to be romantic about baseball. And I just thought to myself every time I watched it, was like, that is such a wonderful moment. It's such a great film, and the idea of the film and also the idea of the misfit toys aspect of the team. I appreciate that quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not as big a Moneyball fan. Again, I think it's much too long. It's about 40 minutes too long, and it goes on forever. Number one. Number two, it's bullshit. They would have you believe that the reason that they won was because of Scott Hatterberg and Ricardo Rincon, when they never mentioned once in the movie Zito, Mulder, and Hudson, their 1, 2, and 3 starters who won like 50, 60 games between them. That's
why Tejada.
And Tejada. They don't mention Tejada. They don't mention those guys. They mention 2 guys who were pickups who were role players. And they would have you believe this god horseshit that's the reason they won. That's such bullshit. Now, what's good about it is Brad Pitt and the story of him that I like. And of course, and I also was offended, again, Hollywood's not in the history business, they're in the entertainment business. Their portrayal of Art Howe is criminal, because Art Howe is a great guy, and they made him out to be an asshole. Sorkin did that, nobody has more respect for Alan Sorkin than I do. But, you're dealing with historical, especially living historical figures. You made this guy out to be a bad guy, and he's not. And he was a good guy. Everybody liked him. So I'm not as big a fan of Moneyball. I think it's bullshit. No, I thought the book was interesting because it went into, they put more emphasis on on-base percentage. That to me was the best thing about the book. They put emphasis, because a lot of it is just horse shit. How do you not talk about the 3 starters? That's the reason you won. When you got 3 starters who win almost 60 games between you, and you got an MVP at shortstop, that's why. And they're never mentioned in the book because it doesn't fit their narrative. So it's a dishonest movie to begin with. So that's why I'm not a big fan.
Oh, you know what? Like I said, when you look at it from a point of view of facts, I do remember when the movie came out, I ran to Baseball Reference, which I love on the website, the best Baseball Reference website. I looked at some of the statistics. I was like, that guy didn't do anything. I'm pretty sure he didn't do anything during the actual season. That part is true. But I do like the idea of how baseball is romanticized, and I do think more than any other sport.
That part I don't mind.
Right, and I think more than almost any other sport, I think baseball lends itself to that kind of romantic sensibility to it. And why do you think it is baseball that just has that, where the other sports just don't quite share that?
Okay, number one, they're normal-sized human beings. They're average-sized. Basketball, they're giants. Football players are monsters. Baseball players are normal-sized human beings. and you can see their faces. They're not wearing helmets or anything like that. So you can associate with them, and the failures. You can associate with that more. And most kids at least start off at least playing a little bit of Little League, so they can understand some of it. Although comparing Little League to Major League, people who say that I played high school, you're playing high school ball, isn't that comparing to major? That's like saying I pull my car out for a ride every year, and then comparing that to Formula One. You didn't play the same game. It's like the guy who was coaching you was probably a moron. The but and also the narrative of baseball. Remember, baseball's got the best narrative because of the length of the season. You'll have ups and downs, and because it's so long a season, things happen, and you start out here, and you go through losing streaks, winning streaks, everything, and pennant races, and that and the job, and I would like to see a movie made, and also minor leagues of baseball is better than major leagues because it's minor league, and it's not going to be as affected as major because the money's not there. Money changes everything in baseball.
Just like Anthony Rendon.
But everybody, I mean, it's not just Rendon, it's everybody. Baseball is just different animal. I would love to, I don't know, there hasn't really been a great movie made about a manager I know of. And again, that would be here's what Ron Shelton said at one time when he talked about the big game thing. The thing about baseball and about sports in general, about the fan. The fan only cares about one thing. Only one thing the fan gives a shit about. Did the team win or lose? That's it. Everything else doesn't matter. How they got there, what they did to get there. Did they cheat? Did they do this? They don't care. Did the team win or lose? And Ron Shelton, being a former player, said, I don't know what the fans thinking, but I know when I was at second base, I know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I'm trying to keep my job. And that's what's different. It's about somebody trying to keep their job. When I talk to managers, I've spoken to many managers over the years, and I ask them, what percentage of your job duties fall between the lines, meaning once the game starts? Percentage of it. The answer I inevitably get back is about 20%. Because once the game starts, it's in the player's hands pretty much. It's in the player's hands. But that's the only thing the fan sees is that. And that's only and he goes, pulling a pitcher, not to pull a pitcher. He goes, I once asked what sort of that. He says, I got a pitching coach for that. He goes, the toughest part of managing, and this is before social media, he says, was dealing with the media. He goes, that's the tough. He goes, you got to remember what part of the job, because once the game starts, it's in the player's hands, most 99% of it. You can make a change here and there, but even that could be affected. You can bring in a pitcher, the bullpen, and he jams the guy, makes a perfect pitch, and the guy swings and dunks it over the second baseman's head. They lose the game, and he's an idiot. Same thing, you bring up the batter to face the pitcher, and the pinch hitter hits a rock, he hits a rope, but the third baseman dives and catches it. He's out. He's an idiot. So the job of a manager is to keep 40 plus guys, going in the same direction from March on through September. That is not an easy thing to do. You got four, because you're going to have winning streaks, you're going to have losing streaks. You're going to have players, half the players don't speak English. You've got, and it's a couple, then you have rookies who are pushing a veteran who's trying to play for a contract. You've got marriages, you've got divorces, you've got kids being born for the first time, families. You've got marriages to getting divorced. You're having parents die. You have, and you got to keep the wives away from the girlfriends. Being a manager, and you haven't even talked about the media yet. It's like when the game starts, that's a relief. But that's the only part that the fan sees. They don't know shit.
Now, what I've heard about the idea of managing is that a great manager is usually the difference between about 3 wins a season. Do you think it's a good number, or do you think it's greater or smaller?
I think that's about right, probably. And a bad manager maybe costs you 3 games, but that's 6 games. That's 6 games makes a difference.
Actually, once again, as I know you're a baseball fan, and I actually found a cool quote, an interesting quote from you from the cigar aficionado about the Baseball Hall of Fame. Can I quote it?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let me see
It,
if, let me see
it,
if it's quoted properly. Yeah.
I'll quote it as much as because I copy and pasted from what I saw in the article. It
Yeah.
said it's a totally full of shit thing. The goal of the Hall of Fame is to keep people out, not put people in. My criterion is simple: if you were the best person in that position in your league in the time you played, you should be in the Hall of Fame. That was, I think, this is from 2000.
Well, there's part. I'm sure they edited the thing down. Part of it is full of shit.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. If you were the best player in your part during your era, yeah, you probably should be in the Hall of Fame. Because and you cannot compare eras. I don't give a shit what anybody says. You cannot. Oh, we have all these logarithms. You can do. Fuck you. Where's the statistic for modern medicine? Show me that one. Show me that one. Guy had the sore arm in 1962. He's done. Guy has a sore arm now. He has shoulder surgery. He's back on the field in 6 weeks.
yeah.
Where's that statistics coming in? Oh, we can measure ballparks in there. Yeah, how do you measure the ballpark on the wind factor that was coming in San Francisco that day? And how do you measure? You can't do it. You can only judge people against the people they played against in their era. Period. End stop. You cannot compare eras. That you can't do it. Now, as far as keeping people out, now remember, this is from how many years ago? That's
I
probably
think
20.
2004, 2005. I think it came. It's pretty old.
Yeah, okay. It might be even longer than that. The Nowadays, I think we've gone too far the other way. I think they've gone too. There's guys in the Hall of Fame just like, I mean, really, Scott Rowland, really, please. I mean, really, good player, Hall of very good. Not a Hall. Nobody ever watched Scott Rowland and said, "Boy, I'm watching a Hall of Famer." No, Nolan Arenado's a better player than Scott Rowland.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Nolan Arenado's going to make it. And then there's no disrespect to Scott Rowland. He's, like I say, terrific player, winning player. But I mean, if you're talking about the best of it, and they have all these, and this is a lot because of my friend Brian Kenny. I'll blame him for a lot of this shit. I'm much more on Mad Dog side on this one. I mean, who else did they have in there?
Oh, they have put Harold Baines, and that's when everyone seems
Well,
to
Harold Baines did because that was voted in by the people, and that was something that happened in a boardroom. That's not, the fact that Jack Morris wasn't voted into the Hall of Fame was a crime.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm close with Roger Clemens. And Roger said, Jack Morris was the most dominating pitcher when I pitched of my time. When Roger Clemens says that, I take that a lot more than I give a shit if some, sabermetric geek. It's like, this was the winningest pitcher of the 1980s. The winningest pitchers. When he started 3 All-Star games. You know how many guys have started 3 All-Star games for their team? I think it's like 3. It's like, that's ridiculous. And then they'll have all stupid stats. And
Well, I was thinking about Scott Rowe when you mentioned. I was like, I remember when I heard he was close to the Hall of Fame, and I'm a baseball nerd. Like I say, I memorize statistics, I memorize players. I'm on, Baseball Reference a lot, just checking things out. I forgot who he was, to be honest with you. So the Hall of Fame didn't quite work in the fame category. I literally forgot who the guy was until I started paying attention when he got close.
Again, a good ball player. I mean, a really good ball, and he's in the Hall of Fame, so good for him because being in the Hall of Fame means you can make some money. A lot of these guys, especially, older, they didn't make the big bucks like the guys like today do. So when they can go to a card show and write HOF after a signature, that makes them considerably amount of money, and that for their family. So I'm all in favor of that part of it. People remember something else. The Hall of Fame is a building. It's a building. It is not the pearly gates. It is a building. It is no different than saying, oh boy, we can't put Rembrandt into this museum because we found out that he used a color that was illegal at the time. It's like, I'm sorry. It's this romanticized. Yeah, look, Ty Cobb was the first guy they put into the Hall of Fame. Ty Cobb was a racist, a bigot, a wife beater, threw games. He threw games for money. He was a Klansman. He's the first guy they put in. So this idea about these guys, like, not being in because they did this or that or their political views and everything. I'm not down with that.
I will say, I mean, I view myself as a big hall guy. Do you view yourself as a big hall guy?
I don't really care that much about. Again, it's a building.
Hmm.
Uh, it's not this room. It's not the pearly gates. We talk about romanticizing. It's fine. Big hall. What is? I don't know what. Look, you need 75% to get in. That's tough. That's
Hmm.
tough. Look, elections go when they won by 49% to 46%. 75% is a lot of money. Um, Plus, you got sports writers who have grudges like everybody else. Um, I don't know if, and you're also going to have to change criteria, especially with pitchers.
Hmm.
You're going to have to change criteria. Uh, and because no one is ever going to come close to 300 wins. I mean, Verlander is probably going to come about 40, 50 short.
Hmm.
But no one's going to ever come close. Nobody gets wins anymore. Nobody goes innings enough to get wins. So we're not going to put any pitchers anymore in the Hall of Fame because that's what we're talking about now.
I mean, see, how about with closers too? I mean, I'm thinking I would put Billy Wagner in because 400 apparently is the level where anyone above 400, there's not many closers that are even get there anymore because their careers are too short. They're at the type of their career for only about 4 or 5 years to get to 400 saves. There's not one pitcher right now who already doesn't have 400 saves. I don't see getting there. I mean, Chapman's done. He's probably not going to get to 400. Beyond him, I think the top one is like Hader, who's at like 170 maybe
How
now.
many is Kenley Jansen?
418.
No, there's 418 for Kenley Jansen.
Yeah, I'm saying,
Uh,
but who have already hit there, who will ever get there again? Because Kimbrel has it as well, but after them, I can't think of any closer that's going to get there because they're all. At least the top one is like Hader, 170, maybe 180. Everyone else,
Wagner probably deserves. I was not. The thing about being a closer is it's so difficult because you're on. I mean, I watched Wagner, not unlike the other guys got 600 saves, Trevor Hoffman, who has 600 saves, uh, and yet failed at a lot of big moments. I mean,
yes.
and Wagner too. Wagner was the same way. But the numbers are the numbers. That's like saying, Ted Williams had a lousy World Series,
Yeah,
so, and Mike Trout hasn't made, so I mean,
that's a crime that he's never made it to the playoffs.
the numbers are the numbers. By the way, I've seen every game Mike Trout's ever played. He has failed in a lot of big situations. And
Yeah.
he also did not, I mean, there was a year about 3 years ago, or 3 or 4 seasons ago, where the Angels were in the hunt on the last month of the season. He hit like 210.
Hmm.
Get that. The numbers are the numbers, but this is not a guy who's like the biggest clutch hitter in the world either.
Hmm.
Um, but he's my, the numbers are the numbers. The if you ask me, who would I put in, who would I rather have on my team if I want to win? Who would I rather have on my team? And you ask me Mike Trout or Mookie Betts, it's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer. I want Mookie Betts. I've seen Mookie Betts come in. I've seen him win, 2 championships,
Hmm.
play in two and play different situations. Again. Now, by the way, they're both going to be Hall of Famers, I think. But I'd much rather have Mookie Betts. I've seen Mookie Betts in different situations.
And the fact that he's going to be an all-star at center field, second base, and shortstop probably this year.
And right field.
And what? Right field?
And right field.
I forgot about right field. I mean, that's
Gold Glove winner.
there's not many players who would even be willing at his level to change positions.
Not to come to the infield. They go to the outfield, but you don't come in.
Hmm.
Most people know they usually go out.
I like to tease.
That doesn't happen. And to play it with, to play decently,
Hmm.
at a championship level. Mookie Betts is phenomenal. Just taking away nothing from Trout. Trout is a Hall of Famer. He's one of the all-time greats. But I'd rather have Betts.
I think one of the things I love about baseball too is that unlike basketball, in baseball, yeah, two of the greatest players of all, in the year, Trout and Ohtani playing together in a team still can't win. It takes 25 players. Isn't sort of like when you need with two or three great basketball players on the team, you're probably gonna get to the championship. It's just how it
yeah, yeah. Well, if you have two or three, well, you need a pitching staff. That's what you need. You can not hit the ball at all if you have a pitching staff. You can go a long way.
Right.
But but the closer is super important. As I point out, the Atlanta Braves had 3 Hall of Fame starters. Nobody ever had in their prime. And they won 1 championship because they didn't have a closer.
Yeah.
I once asked Clemens about I asked him, did you believe in the curse of the Bambino? He goes, I believe in Mariano Rivera. Says if we would have had Rivera on the Red Sox, we would have had 5 championships. And to which John Smoltz said, and we would have had 7. That's true. The role of the closer has become so important, especially in the playoffs. But because you got to finish.
Yeah.
Finish.
I mean, as an Oriole fan, I'm feeling the Felix Bautista loss pretty hard right now. Like, I really feel like Kimbrel is not Bautista, and you needed him, especially with the Ghost Runner now on second. You need that guy who can strike out the first batter or two, because that base runner has an odds of scoring that are very high in extra innings.
How many times does the closer come in the 10th inning?
I'm not sure, but I know would you feel it when he's there though?
No, but I'm saying that because usually the closer on a home team isn't playing. He's in the 9th inning because there's no save.
Well, they did a lot with Batista. They were pitching him 2 innings, quite a bit last year, which is probably why he blew out his arm.
Okay, because usually the closer, doesn't actually pitch the 10th most of the time because there's no saves.
Right. Yeah, they were putting him in they would go in the 9th, and then he also putting him in the 10th inning, which they did it towards after the first month or two when he was started to dominate a lot because of the issue with the shadow, what they call this, the second Ghost Runner on second that had the chance to, which they were trying to shut him down with strikeouts. But yeah, I would say it when you going from Batista to Kimbrel has felt like a massive shock.
No, that's true.
Oriole fan.
Yeah. Yeah, but it shows you how tough that for people to. And by the way, we're talking about Bautista for 1 or 2 years.
Right.
It's not like you have Kimbrel's track record.
Right.
With closers, they change. I mean, they go from year to year a lot of times. You mentioned the Ghost Runner. What do you think of all the rule changes?
The Ghost Runner is bullshit. I have always believed it's bullshit. It doesn't belong on the field. Pitch clock seems like it's blowing out arms. I'm not a huge fan. I must be. I'm not one of the people who care about the bigger bases. I'm like, all right, that stops an injury by having a little more space. I'm fine with it. Make it a little bigger. The pitch clock, like I'm not a fan of all that much. Though I do like the faster games. But the Ghost Runner just feels wrong to me. It doesn't belong. How about you, sir?
I think every one of them are great.
Really? Okay.
Every single one of them. Number one, the pitch clock is great. You said I like the games being faster. Well, how come? Because it's a pitch clock. It's not blowing out any arms. That's bullshit from the owners, from the union. That's a total bullshit. Because today, did you see the tweet by Pedro Martinez talking about it? He had nothing to do with the pitch clock. It's these guys throwing 100 miles an hour and trying to put all this torque on the ball. What, suddenly you didn't have Tommy John injuries before last year? I'm sorry. Kids were getting them at 9 years old for the last 2 decades. It's like you're going to tell me it's not. This is the difference. It's not a guy throwing 100 miles an hour on every pitch and putting more and more spin and torque on your arm, but instead it's somebody going 1001, 1002. That's what's causing that's what's causing the arm. Bullshit. That's number one. Number two, with the extra innings, nobody wants extra innings. Nobody wants extra innings. The players don't want it. The managers don't want it. The pitching coaches don't want it. The announcers don't want it. The networks don't want it. The networks don't want it. The networks don't want it. The operations people in the stadium don't want it. The parking lot attendants don't want it. And above all, the fans don't want it because the ratings go down after 9 innings. You can ask any network. And when you see a game in the 12th or 13th inning, you can count the number of fans in the stands on a hand. Nobody wants extra inning. What do they want in baseball? Action. What brings in action? A runner at second base with nobody out.
Hmm.
Nobody wants extras. The bigger bases was good. It added some. No comments about that. That's good. The pitch clock's good. The new running inside the line rule that they changed this year is good. The every change they made was good. Every single.
Like, I'm a fan of the idea of the catcher protecting the catcher plays to avoid their injuries too. I mean, I'm a fan of that avoid the injuries, especially the ones that are like I said, the bigger base. You're like, well, it's increasing steals. I think it's increasing steals that people are now thinking increases steals, and they're stealing more often than they ever have before.
And they can't throw over as often.
Right.
Another good rule change.
I will say that one I do agree with. That one because I remember watching games where the pitcher would throw like 5, 6, 7 times. That is like just throw the damn ball. Just throw the ball over the plate.
Every rule change is great. Every single one. They should do more. They'll probably do some more. They'll find out somewhere to do more.
How do you feel about the Houston Astros situation from 2017? I think it was the people lose their shit over it, but I must admit I feel like that was almost a natural consequence of the attempt to steal signs for 100-something years of baseball. It's kind of like
but you went to another but there's a difference something that's happening within the game on the field as opposed to externally.
Okay.
It's like if it's happening on the field, if I see it and I can talk to my guy and we can steal signs from people, that's one thing. Using technology that is not in the field, and then doing that's a different cause. That's a different thing. That's different. That's different. That's for example, I find that in certain ways much more reprehensible than steroids.
Really?
Because at least with steroids, you're trying to help your team win. Nobody took steroids to get worse. The other ones, you're stealing something and you're cheating. You're cheating the game. You're cheating the other team. It's no. What happens on the field is one thing. If I can pick up a tell, if a pitcher's tipping pitches, that's perfectly fair. I mean, that's perfectly fair. If you're stealing that kind of thing, if that happens all the time. A pitcher will hold the ball in his glove this way for a fastball and he fans it for a curveball. They're picking that up. That's fair. That's good, smart baseball. Using technology, that's a different story. That's a different story.
See, my thought is, I think it has to be against the rules because cheating should always be against the rules. But I didn't feel like horrified that it happened. It felt like a natural extension of the attempt of teams to find those ways to try to win. And I
understand where you're coming from because it also how do you feel about the automated umpires?
I want real umpires. I want to say even the bad ones. I kind of feel it as a organic quality to the games, in my opinion.
I want to see how it would work. I'm going to withhold because here's the thing. There's too many jobs and too much money involved in people in mistakes. People's lives and their livelihoods are based upon this. A manager gets fired because an umpire blows a call. Or a player gets cut because of it. It's like there's too much involved. And I'm not even going into the gambling situation. That's something entirely different. But I'd like to see it. I haven't seen it in use yet. So I want to see how it would work. I do like there is a human element, but when there's this much involved, with people's jobs and livelihoods and a lot goes into that. You got to take that into consideration.
And I think I definitely agree with that. But one thing I do think about though is I kind of also like the sportsmanship, the idea of the bigger strikes so small, and and how the players do adjust to the zone based on the day. I do like there's a certain randomness to it a little bit, and I think I'm part of it as a fan too. I do think I enjoy a little bit of the argument itself when you do look at it and go, that is like a bullshit call like that. I do kind of like some of the organic elements of the game. I kind of like that older school feeling of baseball.
It doesn't exist anymore. I mean, instant replay. I mean, all I can think about when I saw the instant replay come back in is how many games would have been changed? How many?
Galarraga.
Yeah, but that's just a call. I mean, that didn't affect the game.
Oh, that's what the if anything the no hitter that he had.
Yeah, but that's a no hitter thing. But that didn't affect the score of the game and somebody's job.
Sure.
Or somebody's career, or it's like, I mean, that's a call. Yeah, and it would have been changed. But I'm talking about the things where, like the Jeter home run that the guy reached over the fence for. That wasn't a playoff game. I mean, what if Baltimore wins that game? It changes these things. And maybe Buck Showalter does get it. It's like that kind of thing. And I'm not even talking about Don Denkinger, who I think gets a bum rap and a half for that call, because first of all, the Don Denkinger, it's game 6, number 1. It's game 6. It wasn't game 7. It's game 6.
Yeah.
Okay, blew the call at first base. Okay, he blew a call at first base. Now, the Cardinals that year, I think, had led like 82 games or 83 games going into the 9th inning. You're going to tell me not one of them, the inning didn't start with a man on first base?
Mm-hmm.
You know what happened? You get 3 outs, you win the game. No, the Cardinals fell apart, if people remember. They had a pass ball. They had 2 errors in that inning. That it was like, it's the same way that Winnicott fell apart after the Chicago Cubs fell apart after the Bartman thing. No. And let me go back. It's game 6. It's not game 7. You had a chance to win the next thing. Same thing with Buckner. It's game 6. And the Boston Red Sox had a 3-run lead in game 7. It's game 6. Sorry, the Cardinals weren't mentally tough enough to win. You're going to get a call back. All they had was, okay, there's a guy at first base and nobody out. You know what? Make a good pitch, you get a ground ball, now there's nobody on base. To blame him for that's just an excuse. That's a bullshit. It helps people's narratives to make excuses.
Now, when you're once again thinking about baseball as a whole, what is your view on teams that do you think there should be a salary cap at this point?
Absolutely not.
Really? Okay.
Why? Why do they need a salary cap? For what reason?
Or a salary basement as well.
A base, I would go for sure. But why do you need a salary cap for?
I mean, I would have. There will be teams that
hasn't been. The Dodgers and the Yankees spend more than anybody. How many World Series have they won in the last 20 years? They've won one. I would have won on a short season, and the Yankees won in 2009. So out of the last 30 years, almost 28 years, you've had the 2 highest teams win 1.5 series. Meanwhile, you've had Kansas City win 1. You've had San Francisco Giants win 3. You've had Philadelphia 1. You've had, not Philadelphia, yes, Philadelphia's 1. You've had Washington win. You've had, last year you had Texas and Arizona in the World Series. What do you need a salary cap for? It doesn't hold, there's no argument. I mean, I'll tell you what, when they cap the owners, when they cap how much money the owners can make, yeah, then you can cap the other guys.
I will think that you should have a salary basement. There's no reason why.
Well, yeah, because of the fans. I mean, it's
right.
not, you can't compete if you got, although Tampa Bay, again.
Well, I mean, Pittsburgh, the owner of Pittsburgh is worth, I think, $1 billion something. There's no reason for his team to be worth less than $40 million.
It's horrible. Horrible. But they're better this year.
Hopefully, they started off really well last year too. If you remember, they were. I think didn't they have?
This is a better team.
You think this is a team good enough to actually compete?
Compete. Well, here's why I say maybe. You've got Martin Perez is pitching very well, and he is a guy who was an all-star years ago. So if he's a number 3 starter, fine. Mitch Keller could be a number 2 starter. And you got a kid that's going to come up at some point, Skeens.
Oh, yeah.
Who's going to come up. Now, I don't know how many innings he's going to pitch. You got that. You have a better team around them. You've got O'Neill Cruz and Brian, who was out all last year. And you got a better team around. You don't have enough. I mean, it is, because you don't have much depth, so they have to stay healthy. Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz, Brian Hayes, they're better, and they're in a horseshit division too. That's the other thing. So compete. I don't know. Will they be playing meaningful games in September? I'm not sure. But they're a better team.
Do you think if they are in the hunt during the trade deadline, their owner does anything?
Well, he's never shown anything like that.
That's what I'm saying. As an Oro fan, I felt it a couple of years ago when they were in the hunt, when they traded away Trey Mancini at the trade deadline. They were like, they were so close. Like, why not just get somebody, bring in somebody? And they just wouldn't do it because they didn't feel like they wanted to compete that year.
What did they get for Trey Mancini?
Um, I can't remember who the hell the names were, who the guy was who they got for trade. Damn, I don't know, to be honest with you.
Let's look up on
Now,
baseball.
I will say that Trey Mancini didn't do well after that, so it wasn't like. But at the same time, though, sometimes with baseball players, I do wonder myself, would they have played better if they stayed where they were instead of changing everything? You know, sometimes it is chemistry, I think, a little bit involved.
And wasn't he a free agent to be?
Probably.
Yeah, they got Seth Johnson and Chance McDermott.
It doesn't seem like, I mean, I kind
You
of.
know what? You get people always, again, it's worked out okay because they're a good team now, and they got too much talent now almost.
Well, they have a log jam that, I mean, it's the fact that Mayo and Norby are still stuck in the minors, and so is Kyrgyzstan, I think is how you pronounce the guy's name. I mean, that's when you have too much talent on your team. The player's too good you don't want to lose them. They're too good to trade, but they're not making the team. That's a rough situation for those guys.
And the kid was it Colzer?
Oh, Colton Cowser, yeah.
He's another good player that they don't have a place for.
Not a starting one. I mean, they just brought up Jackson Holiday yesterday, and I think he'll be. I don't know. He's 20 years old. I don't know if that's too young to bring him up, but at the same time, I don't think you can hold him down either.
So why not? Well, not anymore. You can do that. Yeah, I just don't know. Well, they gave away next to nothing for Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
They stole him. Now, are they going to keep him? Probably. I don't know. It's a new ownership, so I don't know.
Well, I know Burns has said he's definitely going to try the trade deadline.
Of course trade market.
Sorry, that's what I meant. The free agent market. But I will say, the fact I think we'll learn everything we need to know about the ownership if Henderson and Rutschmidt are extended by the end of the season. Then you'll know anything. I think you'll know everything you need to know about the ownership if they're willing to do that, because those two players should be extended as soon as humanly possible before they hit or get too close to the market.
Again, it takes two. If you got Scott Boras as your agent, that may not be happening, period.
That part is true. Dude,
so, by the way, did you see where Jordan Montgomery just changed agents?
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, he got rid of Scott Boras.
Now, he complained that they're saying that the league colluded against him. Do you think that's true?
No.
I think he was they're not willing to spend the money?
He got enough Scott. He got enough Scott. Scott did not want, remember, Scott controlled the players' union. He did not want the players to sign. And all his guys voted, all the guys on the board, they all voted no. The rank and file voted yes.
Yeah.
Scott. No, and I understand Scott, because Scott is labor. That's his job. Do I think they colluded? As far as, no, I don't. I thought that he overpriced everything. He played because they certainly paid for Yamamoto. They certainly played for Ohtani. They certainly paid for, Nola got a lot of money. I mean, they paid for certain guys. No, and by the way, when it comes to pitchers, I don't know if I'm, look at what's happened so far. You see Strider, and you see Bieber, and you've seen DeGrom, and you've seen all these guys making money. It's like I don't know. I think you're much better off paying bigger bucks for like a 3-year contract, and that's it. You're going to get burned. You're going to get burned with these pitchers.
I would agree. I mean, I was surprised when you had like Texas signed DeGrom to what they paid him. I would never have paid him that much money. I don't think he's going to play a full season in his career.
Probably not. He's not a kid.
Right.
He's much older.
35 now, 36 now.
I think 37. DeGrom didn't start pitching till he's almost 30. How old's DeGrom? Let me see.
And I think everything for him comes to the fact that he didn't start off throwing 100 miles per hour. He should have not. By trying to throw 100 miles per hour, I think he literally ruined his career.
DeGrom's 35. He turns 36 in June.
Yeah, I never.
Well, but DeGrom also was the best pitcher in baseball for 2 or 3 years by doing that.
For the short time that he pitched in those.
Yeah, but he was the best pitcher in baseball for 3 years or so, and he wound up getting a huge contract because he pitched like that. So again, I can't, it's just, you just don't want to, you look at Garrett Cole now. He's hurt. He's coming back, but who knows? Who knows how effective he'll be for how long?
I but what I mean, I found like in the last 5 or 6 years has been the trend of extending young players for huge contracts, long contracts. Are
Well,
you
yeah,
you buy in on that, or do you say
sure. It's sure because you're getting them. They're first of all, you want the young players because when you're young and you get hurt, you can heal quicker. Remember when you got a cut when you were 12? It was
Yeah.
healed. It was healed the next day. Well, you get a cut when you're 35. It don't heal so fast, or a
No.
pulled muscle or something like that. So you want to extend them, when they're young because otherwise it's going to cost you 3 times as much. But you better guess right. I mean,
Well, like,
I don't know what Wander Franco is going to
that's
happen.
what I said. I was about to use Wander Franco as my example. It's like Wander Franco. I assume though there's got to be a character clause in the contract that
One would think,
will
but
get bailed out.
But you can bet the players union ain't going to take that position.
You think they're going to stand by him?
Absolutely, 1,000%. That's what they got their dues money coming out of that.
That part's true.
They don't care. Again, it's just like I'm sorry to pull out something. It's like Republicans and Democrats. They don't care. They don't care what the other side did.
Yeah.
They're going to stand by it. That's their job.
It's just Wander Franco. I mean, I wouldn't want to hang around him. I mean, they let who's the other pitcher on LA? You're Curious, who apparently is going to go the same direction as Wander Franco and be blackballed from baseball probably for most of his career. Is my guess.
I don't know. He got misdemeanors. This other, and I don't know.
It is domestic violence.
Trevor Bauer too. Trevor Bauer's all over.
Yeah, Trevor Bauer. He probably is finished too, is my guess. But they also seem to be angry at him about a lot of what the issue with the spin rates. Apparently, he pushed a lot of buttons on that, and he's not overly popular.
Trevor Bauer's always been an asshole. I had a friend who was I had a radio show from Westwood One some years back, and my announcer was the radio announcer for the UCLA baseball team when they had Bauer and Cole, and he would say they're so different guys, because Cole did not like Bauer.
That you mentioned that. Okay, as a baseball fan, and you're also a big baseball fan, having that chance that you've actually got to talk to the players, only get to watch, has that changed or give you more insight into the game that someone, or what's the biggest insight you got into the game because of that someone like me who just watches and then plays fantasy baseball doesn't get?
Okay, a couple of things. One is, and this is more for the Arliss show, meeting all the athletes. When it comes to the major leagues, with rare exceptions, but rare, the basic talent skills differential is about this much. It's about this much with the difference in talent. It's about this much. What separates them is up here.
Okay.
It's the mental approach to the game. How are they preparing for the game? How are they prepared? Are they prepared for when a certain situation occurs? And it will occur at some point.
Yeah.
Are you prepared mentally? Whether it's you made an error, how do you respond? If you get a bad call, whatever it is, or something happens, or whatever happens, or how are you mentally prepared for it? The mental part of the game is the biggest. That's the biggest thing I learned about athletes, and also that athletes don't think like fans do. I mean, fans think athletes don't read newspapers for the most part. They don't think like that. Athletes, they're totally routine oriented.
I know they talk about baseball being a business. Obviously, there's idea of fans and loyalty. Do the players view the fans the way the fans view the players?
I don't understand.
Okay, so I mean, basically, I mean,
let's put it this way. Well, if a fan wrote a check, maybe they'd view them differently.
But it's sort of like when you're a fan, obviously you view players. This is my player, this is my team. They're one of us.
No. This is the team I'm rooting for. It's not my team. It's not your team.
Okay.
It's your team you're rooting for. That's where you get in trouble. It's not your team. The only reason you're rooting for this team is because baseball teams are a monopoly. That's the first thing. These are monopolies. You only have one per city, maybe two in New York and LA, but basically one. That's it. That's you. If somebody else wants to start a team, they can't. There's one. It's a monopoly. Hence, they're worth billions of dollars because there's no more of them. So it's like the Jerry Simon. You're rooting for laundry. It's like you're not rooting for, so, and because like, why would like you bought Baltimore, you had the owner there. Why would you want that guy to do, now at least the ownership is changing. But why would I want this guy to do well? Why do I want the New York Jet owner, like Woody Johnson, why do I want him to succeed? And I'm a Jet fan. Why do I want this guy to succeed? It's like, it's a business because I can't have another store next to the store that this guy owns. No, see that this whole fan thing, this idea of emotional loyalty, which is, it is unnatural. I get it. But at what point, I mean, you ask Houston fans about the cheating. They don't give a shit. They don't care. Maybe someone's, I wish it didn't happen, but they don't care.
Right.
You get it, they don't care. OJ died today. I can tell you a big part of the community didn't give a shit that liked the fact that he got off.
Yeah. So, but
do the players have the same loyalty to the fans? I mean, what loyalty do they? You have loyalty to the guys you work with, and your teammates, and the team itself. To the fans, that's a different question. It's a fan will boo you in 2 seconds. It's like I don't. They'll want you out of there in 2 seconds. Now, certain guys have built up a fan base loyalty, but even they'll it's like they'll turn on you. They will. So, and you have an obligation to your family, and you're, and you don't have an obligation to the fans. You don't. I mean, you want to do well for them, but you don't have an obligation to them. You don't have, with rare exception, you don't have an obligation because, first of all, to the team, again. Am I supposed to have an obligation to this owner? I mean, I was writing my check and everything, but if somebody else could write a check, it's this whole fan loyalty thing. It's a tough one because I understand the emotional part if that's what it is, but it's just not. I have a friend. I was on a radio show, and this is speaking as a Jet fan, and the host of the fan is a diehard Jet fan, and he had a kid, a boy. And I said, are you embracing this kid to be a Jet fan? And he said, yeah. And I go, don't you think that's a little bit of cruelty? I mean, like mental cruelty? I go, this is a shitty organization. It's going to be a shitty organization. I don't give a damn if Brett Favre or whoever is on it. It's going to be a shitty organization. It's like, so you're going to have your kid go through all the pain of this thing for the next 30, 40 years? I mean, why would you want that?
So what's next for you?
I am about to leave next week to go to Atlanta, where I'm shooting a movie called SNL 1975 about the first night of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, very cool.
For Jason Reitman.
Very cool. Hopefully when you're able to, you can come back and we can discuss it. Thank you so much, sir.
We appreciate it. Hope you had a good time.
All right. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Versus Stars podcast. Please help me battle the algorithms by liking and subscribing. Be sure to return for the next episode when Francois Chow boards the mothership to talk Avatar: The Last Airbender. Till next voyage, travel on.